Hi, this is Micornus, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. We are continuing with the same topic today. We're dealing with ingredients to develop what we call credibility as a church leader. Ingredients of developing credibility as a church leader. And today I want to just speak about an ingredient called care. An ingredient called care, and that's very, very important ingredient as well, and because it is very key, and it's an ingredient that we know that it develops credibility over a leader. Now, everybody wants to know that there are others who care about them. Now, your congregation want to know if you as a pastor or as a church leader, as a board member, as a bishop in the church, you care about them. They would love to know that. And that becomes what we call a basic need of every individual, because people want to be cared of or well cared of. And therefore, because of that, they would always want to know if there's somebody who's caring for them or who cares about them and have the best interest of them in heart. So every time when you show people that you've got best interest of them in heart and you care, that becomes credibility building for you. That becomes a credibility development for you. When people sense that someone cares, when they know that as a leader you care for them, they tend to trust you as an individual. And because of that, then your credibility rises amongst them because they see you as somebody that they can trust. You become credible to them because they believe that you're somebody who cares for them and therefore they trust you. In the same way, congregations do trust their leaders who demonstrate care towards them. And I must emphasize the fact that care therefore becomes a very, very important thing because in church, everybody expects caring to be there inside the church. If a leader, therefore, shows no care amongst his people, you won't be credible enough to your people. So I want to emphasize the fact that it is a great ingredient for every church leader to become caring. Because the more you become caring, the more credible you are before your people. Because people trust you and they become people that are trusting what you say and what you do. It's very, very important. Now, we know that many of the pastors would actually put this in the back seat and rely on their own congregation to care for each other. But I must emphasize the fact that it's very key that you as a leader as well stretch forth your hand unto the people and let people know that you care as a pastor. Now, I want to also emphasize that when you care in a church, you're making the people to become closer to you. And people really become closer in a way that they understand you, they know you very well as a leader. So therefore, it's very, very important that we mention that care therefore becomes very, very important ingredient in this regard. Now, care is the leadership's demonstration of concern for the well-being of the people. Now, remember that when they come to church, people are very vulnerable. And that's the reason why they come to church. And I've always emphasized the fact that people see church as an example of a caring place. So when people are wounded and hurt, when the world has bruised them, when they have actually faced challenges of people abusing them outside, they always think of the church. And therefore, it is a center of care. The church becomes a center of care. And when they know that the church is a center of care, people flock to church for that reason. So therefore, without care in any church, then there's no credibility. Because people come there already expected to be well cared of. And as a leader, if you are not caring at all, then you cannot be trusted. Therefore, you cannot be credible amongst your own people. And we're emphasizing this because it's very key that even the church leadership, we speak about the board members, we speak about the elders of the church, we speak about the leaders of departments as well. It must be their priority. It is not only upon the shoulders of the pastor or the senior pastor, but it's amongst everyone. So that when the world come and seek for refuge in the church, they must be coming to find that care being there because they come with high expectation that they will be well cared of in the church. So therefore, credibility develops from caring of people in the church. not only the pastor, as I've said, it's very important that all the members take the caring attitude along with them. And when people arrive in church, they're taken care of. And everybody realizes when they arrive that the first impression lasts long. And everybody has welcomed them. And those people are likely to come back. And I must emphasize also that there are many times where in churches, people don't come back because they've actually been shown the cold face of some kind when they arrived. There was no care in the beginning, and therefore they cannot expect care to develop all of a sudden somewhere. And that's the reason why many people then do not come back in a specific church. And I want to emphasize that because it's very key that every church member knows that, besides us speaking about the church leaders, but every church member should know that as well. Now, it's very important also that we know that followers will always look at leaders, how caring they are. And many times the pastor may be caring, but if his elders and his assistants and people that are working with him are not caring towards the people, that will defeat the purpose in the church. And that is why many churches just don't grow. People enter the front door, but they go through the back door again. Why? Because they've actually experienced difficulty in dealing with the leadership of the church who are not caring at all towards them. This is very, very important that we emphasize. Now, when we speak about care, care is always associated with love. And then when people walk away from a church that didn't care for them, they'll say there's no love in that church. And you'll hear it often, people saying, I'm not in that church anymore because there's no love in that church. Why are people saying that? Because people always congruent to what we call caring with loving. Because love is actually demonstrated by actions of how you take care of the people. And that's the only reason that they will say that church, that in that church, there's a lot of love. What do they see and what do they mean? Is purely because the people seem to be caring in that church. God cares about his people, by the way. And he wants us as church members, as Christians, as leaders of the church, to care about them too. Not only that God cares about his people, but God wants to care about the people. And he wants us to become the conduit of help to the people or care of the people. We must be the reflection of God in the lives of the people. And that is why, because we are made in the image of God, therefore the people are going to look up to us. They're not expecting God to come all the way from heaven, but they're expecting us who are carrying God in us to be caring for the people. Now, this is very key and very important that we emphasize that because God cares for his people, therefore he expects us to care for them too. Now, in the book of Exodus chapter 4, if you read verse 31, and also I want to refer you to the book of John chapter 21, verse 16. And in the book of 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2 as well, you'll find that Peter points out that our followers are under our care. So therefore, there's no follower that will follow you and then be well cared by somebody else. You that they are following, they are under your care. Remember that they are trusting you as well. So therefore, they're expecting you not to abuse them. They're expecting you not to lead them astray, but they expect you to be caring, because then that is what credibility is all about. Because credibility is that ability of them to trust you. What you say, where you go, they will follow, because they would know that you are credible enough and you are worth following. And that's the reason why, as church leaders, it's very important to take this ingredient of caring as very important as well for your own credibility. Very, very important. Now, I want to also mention the fact that care involves respecting them and having their best interest at heart. Because remember, in the church, they are the old and the young. But remember that when we come to respect, we speak about respecting all ages in the church, respecting the young and the old, and making them feel respected as they are. Because without respect, people always relate respect as well with love, with caring as well. Because when people are feeling respected and loved, they'll definitely feel like somebody's caring about them. And that becomes very important that we emphasize that as a church leader, this must be an ingredient that you embrace to make sure that people trust you because they know that you care. But that comes through seeing you respecting them, seeing you having their best interest at heart, and making sure that they are aware that you care about them. And that becomes very, very important. We need to be aware of people's needs as well, because you cannot care for people without knowing their needs. So therefore, identify the people's needs. And that can be done only when you are closer to the people. Remember that when you are a church leader who is very far from your own people, who's very far from your own followers, who's very far from your own congregation, you may not be able to know what their needs are. And therefore, you're not going to be able to cater for their needs because you don't even know what their needs are. And that's very important, therefore, that you step up and become closer to the people so that you can know their needs and meet their needs. And when you meet the people's needs, they are identifying the church or yourself as a leader as caring. Very, very important that we know the needs of the people. We need to know their heads as well, not only their needs, because people are hurt, are bruised. And as I've said, they're coming from the world, where the world that hates them has bruised them, has hurt them, and therefore they're coming to church for bandaging and being managed, to be nursed and looked after. And that nurturing and looking after them is the one that's going to determine them to say, yes, there is love in this church, there is a care in this church, and therefore the church will be credible based on how you deal with them when they're hurt. But you must know their hurt. You must know their fears as well and help them out of their fears, because people are facing fears every day. They don't know what to do, how to deal with things. But this is time whereby we will emphasize that the church should actually grow to an extent whereby people are being bandaged when they're hurt, and people's fears are being eliminated or alleviated as well, in case people are having fears, and you help them to deal with that. Now, deal with that biblically with what is mattering towards them, the word, by giving them good counsel as well. Very, very important. And that's the caring that we're speaking about. And in many churches, we just don't care about people. When we do, we shouldn't be surprised that these people trust our leadership and they grant us the credibility that we deserve. When we care about them, when we look after them, when we are attending to their needs as well and dealing with their fears every day in their life. Credibility, therefore, becomes a primary thing that they will actually give you, that we need to lead them on behalf of the Savior, Jesus Christ, our Lord. I want to end up here today, your host, Micornus, Phokane. Thank you very much for listening to us and be part of this great topic. And I hope that you're picking up these ingredients, developing your own credibility, because you need credibility as a man and woman of God in your church. And I believe strongly that you'll follow us as well on our social media platforms, our Facebook page, Young Men Empowerment Forum, and our Facebook page, Church Governance Solutions, Facebook page, Micornus, Phokane, all those, including our YouTube channel and our Young Men Empowerment Forum. Google us, find us there, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Click notification buttons and to all those, like those pages as well, so that you don't miss any material that we've posted in this regard. May the good Lord bless you, and join us once more as we deal with part 8 of this great topic, and I believe you'll be with us. May the good Lord bless you, and allow me to say cheers for now.